Good afternoon, Lisa. Thanks for coming in today.
Hi, Trevor. Thanks for making time to meet with me.
Yeah, I'm glad that we had some time available for the schedule and that you could get in here. Before we get just started, I just wanted to let you know that going to counseling or seeing a therapist for the first time can be a little bit intimidating, and that anything that you tell me is going to stay between you and I. The only exception to that would be if I thought that you were going to hurt yourself or you're going to hurt someone else, then I might have to alert somebody else about that. But other than that, what's Vegas rules? What's said here stays here.
Good deal. Thanks.
Okay. Um, so now that we got that out of the way, what exactly brings you into the office this afternoon?
So, this is kind of embarrassing, but been struggling for, I guess, if I think about it, it's probably been like 20 years trying to go to bed and get appropriate amount of sleep at night. I just have a tendency to stay up really late, and I just feel like I suck at self-discipline with this, and and I want to change it because I'm tired often. Um, it I fall asleep when I don't want to sometimes during the day. And I feel like I'm just, it gives me more anxiety because I don't sleep. It makes my stomach upset. And I went to this presentation a couple of years ago, and I keep thinking about it. And it talked about that lack of sleep actually causes the brain to age and makes you more likely to have dementia and Alzheimer's. And that freaked me out a little bit, and I thought that would be the motivating factor, and it's made me more aware, but I've not been able to make this change, and I don't get it. So I anyway, so that's why I reached out.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but for 20 years, you've been trying to get more sleep in your life, or I think you said like have a normal sleep schedule. And if you could just kind of clarify, is it, do you need like a more normal what sleep schedule, or is it more about an amount of sleep?
I think it's mostly the amount of sleep. I mean, that's the biggest thing, and like the lack of sleep is what causes brain your deterioration of the brain. And I know a lack of sleep causes me anxiety and it makes me sleepy. So I think the most important thing is just I don't want to have 8 hours of sleep. I don't want to allocate that much time to it, but I think my body needs it, and I just want to find a way to give it to it. I say I suck at self-discipline, but there's some things like I've done, like I'm in AA, and I've been in AA for a long time, and I still go to meetings, and I have a sponsor, and I so it's not that I can't do things. I'm just kind of baffled why I can't make this change.
Okay. And so I've heard you mention, like, first of all, you started at the very beginning, you said you were embarrassed to tell me that you have trouble asking for help with sleep. And I don't think that it's embarrassing to ask for help with anything. And so I want to let you know that, like, as your counselor, you and I can work through this together, and there's nothing to be embarrassed about. And I think that we can figure this out, no problem. And another thing is, you've mentioned that if you don't get enough sleep, it can lead to you having anxiety. I think you said that it has can lead to some stomach problems.
Mhm.
It makes you sleepy during the day. And then you also said that there's this like long-term fear of dementia.
Yeah.
Is that does that summarize like why you feel it's important to get 8 hours of sleep?
Yes, I mean, that's that, and so, I mean, I could keep adding to the list though, like I'm scared, like, I've caught myself sometimes when I'm really tired, like, at a stoplight, like, falling asleep, and so, like, that freaks me out, so it's like, why doesn't that motivate me to change? And, yeah, but that's so yeah, and I just think I would be that the anxiety part is just I'm very busy. I'm a graduate student, and I graduate in May. So glad it's almost done, but I'm down at the end, and it's just like um there's so much to do, and I have an internship site, and I have two little dogs, and I have a lot of friends. Anyway, it's hard for me to make time for everything, and sleep is the thing that I let go of, and it's not good self care. They tell me all the time in my graduate program, self care is so important, and I'm not successful at this level of self care.
Okay. And then you also mentioned to me that you've been very involved with AA and you have like a lot of time in recovery. And I know AA can be self-care. So it sounds like that maybe it's not that you're not great at self-care, it's just that some of your self-care goes into resources other than sleep. Would it be accurate to say something like that?
Yeah, and so, like, AA meetings are usually at night, and so, Zoom makes it a little better, but a lot of times meetings are still at 8. So, like, if I go to an 8 o'clock meeting and then I get home, by the time I get home, it's gonna be 9:30, and then I gotta do meal prep for the next day, deal with the dogs, do just all the I have a house. My husband's out of town a lot, so most of the care to the dogs in the house is falling on me right now. So, um, it's a lot. It's just a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot. And it also sounds like that you do a lot of it very well. If you are graduating from graduate school in May and you have this long-term recovery and you're holding down this internship, I wanted to let you know that it sounds like that for the most part you're doing things really well. It's just this lack of sleep that's bothering you at this point. Where when you say that you're not getting enough sleep, how important is that? Like say 1 to 10, how important is sleep to you in your daily life?
I want it to be more important. Um, I'm gonna say sleep is a 6. I guess
Sleep is
maybe that's why I'm not getting to bed, because yeah, there's other things that are trumping it sometimes.
okay. So if sleep's a six, what you told me there's other things that are trumping it. What are some of those other things?
Well, because I'm in school, like
Hmm.
homework, like if homework something's done, then if it's due, it's due, right? So I have to get that done. So I'll stay up and do that. 12-step recovery stuff, like if I have a friend that is having a difficult day, and she needs to talk or whatever, and it's in the evening, I'm going to talk to her. Um, Making time for my husband, he's on the road a lot, but I make sure that, we talk a bunch every day. So I have to make sure that I make time for him. The dogs, if I don't walk them most of the time, then they won't let me do any homework. So I have had to walk them for 45 minutes sometimes, just so they'll let me, or else they just keep jumping on me. So those are things that are all important to me. That
Hmm.
and then food, like I am pretty healthy at eating, and like so I have to meal prep all the time before I go to school or before I go to my internship site. So like I that's one of the last things I do. I'm like, why have I waited so late? But it's because I've got other stuff I'm doing. So I think that's why I'm saying 6, because I gotta eat. I love my dogs. I'm not getting rid of them. I'm gonna take care of my friends. It's just like too much.
So what it sounds like you have this rich, full life that you get to participate in every day. And one of the difficult things is that there's only 24 hours in that day. And although you'd like to get more sleep because it's important to your self-care and it's important to your long-term health, you are concerned that you're currently not getting the sleep that you say you need.
Even when I tell you it's a 6, and I feel like if I was a mature grown up, I think I told you how I was embarrassed, like that it should at least be an 8. Like I feel like it should be there, but I'm having a
What
hard time believing it.
why do you think that as a mature grown up it needs to be an 8? Because what you've described to me is somebody who is able to accomplish so much getting the amount of sleep that you're getting, and while you would like to sleep more, it seems that you are doing well with the amount that you're getting. So why do you think that you need more? What is it about sleep that's so important? Is sleep more than just self-care? Is it more important than maybe if a recovery meeting is an hour and a half and your dogs are 45 minutes, is there any way that we could shave like 10 minutes out of that so that you can add 10 minutes to your sleep?
Yeah, and, like, that is something that I do that sometimes works, like, instead of taking them for the long walk around the neighborhood, sometimes I can take them for the short walk, and that usually works, like, that's a 20 minutes, so, like, I could shave 20 minutes off the dog walking, 25 minutes.
And the have when you've been able to do that, is it helpful? Are you one of those people that when you lay down, you can go right to sleep, or with everything you have and as busy as your schedule is, it can take you a little bit of time to get to sleep?
I'm out in, like, 2 minutes or less.
Okay. And so if sleep is a 6 out of 10, but you think it should be an 8 out of a 10, is it more a way that we need to prioritize your day so that we can just find moments, 5, 10 minute increments that we can add either to the end of your day or to the beginning of your morning that can add up to more sleep time?
Yes, and I think the end of the day is where I probably have the most flexibility. That's where I have the most flexibility.
That's where you have the most flexibility. And so if you could, I'm going to use a tried and true trick, give you a magic wand. What's that perfect end of the day look like with you where you get to connect with your recovery community, you stayed in contact with your husband, your meals are prepared, the dogs are taken care of, and you still get to sleep at an hour that allows you to get 8 hours? How do we make that happen?
So one of the things, with the pandemic is Zoom meetings. So when I do a Zoom meeting, I don't have the travel time. So that's something. If I do and they have earlier meetings now because I can pick anywhere in the world to do an online meeting. So like if I did a 6 p.m. or a 7 p.m. meeting and then didn't have travel time. So let's say I did a 6 p.m. meeting and then I would be done at 7 and then I could call my husband.
Hmm.
And one of the things that helps sometimes is I can walk the dogs while I talk to him. So I could do just, make a decision. I've done that before and that's worked. I've done that before and that's worked. And that if I was disciplined to do something like that, that would give me the jump start where I wasn't at because sometimes I walk the dogs at like 9:30 and 10 o'clock at night because I don't know, because I stay up too late. But then if I did the early dog walking like that, and then I would have time to do the meal prep.
Yeah, and I know that we've really kind of honed in on this 8 hours a day as the mark of sleep that we're trying to attain. But is it more that if we could get a few nights a week where we had more sleep, would that be something that you think could be more beneficial if we could kind of work at it incrementally, where every few days we were able to get more sleep, and then instead of being, let's say, over the week we're deficit 8 hours of sleep, next week we only have a 4 hour deficit of sleep? Is that something you think could be more helpful to you?
Yeah, and I think I really appreciate you saying that because the flexibility, especially with graduate school, because like if the thought of I think that's one of the things I get hung up with. It's like, but I have to do homework. So there's no way I can always go to bed. So knowing that I had some flexibility on certain nights to do that, stay up a little later.
And then there's some nights that you have no control over. Are there other nights that you do have more control over because those nights might not have homework, or those are internship nights?
Yeah, so that's my internship nights usually because I get up pretty early for those and and I want to do a good job at my internship site. I don't want to be sleepy.
Hmm.
So I really try to prioritize. Those are nights that I don't usually do homework on the days that I have to the next morning that I go to my intern. So I do my internship on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So like Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, like those are days that it's important like that it would be higher than a 6 on those days too.
Okay. are those days that you think that we can try to implement what you talked about? And maybe one day is a day that you walk the dogs when you're on the phone with your husband, and the other day is a day and instead of going to an in-person meeting, you do the Zoom meeting. And what I'm trying to explain is that we don't have to do everything every day, but if we can make like an incremental change this first week, is that something that you think could be helpful?
That seems doable. I think the 3-day thing, like, because yeah, 7 days, like I couldn't do it 7 days, but I could conceive of three. That seems doable. That would be
That seems doable.
something I would be willing. That's something I could say that I could see myself being successful doing.
Okay, and are you one of the people that likes to have things written down and you want to see that? Is it easier for you to commit to it that way? Or is it just okay if you just make an agreement between you and I and you know when you come back next week you'll be able to tell me about it? What do you think is going to be more successful for you?
So what I'll do, I have a notebook that I keep on my nightstand. So what I'll do is I'll write down on the nights before my internship site the time that I go to bed so I can actually see it, and then I'll remember. And then when you and I meet again, then I'll be like, so this is what time I went to bed. And then if I have to write it down and look at it and know like I've got to write it down, it'll probably motivate me too.
Okay. And that sounds like a good plan. And I think that what you have described is a way for you to get more sleep on nights where you've identified that you need more sleep. And this busy life of yours that you've described to me, I've heard you mention the importance of your internship multiple times and not being sleepy at your internship. And so I think it'll really be helpful for yourself to see if more rest is that much more impact on you as an intern.
Yeah, because I really care about this internship. They've told me, they like me, and I said I finished school in May. So like I really want to be alert and on my best game while I'm there. Because I could maybe get a job there. So like that matters.
Yeah, and it's nice to hear the sense of pride that you take in being a good intern and taking your job seriously and want to be as prepared as you can. I want to like tip my hat to you and let you know that that's commendable, and I think that we're on the right path. Now, so just to summarize, as a adult, you feel like you weren't quite getting the amount of sleep that you wanted to get on a regular basis, and if a few nights a week you could get more sleep in an incremental change because it can't quite happen right away, that would be more helpful to you, not just as a person and a student as an intern, but throughout your entire life, especially like going forward, and to kind of ease these fears of dementia and anxiety and kind of those like existential fears that are further in the future.
Yeah, you pretty well nailed it.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate you coming in this week, Lisa, and I can't wait to hear how your sleep journal goes when we meet again next week. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you, Trevor. All right. See you next week.
Cool.